Yes, K-I-N. Oh, yeah. Hey, you turn it up, Billy. It's time to roll on the ones and twos, taking full control. From the link to the X, from the sixes to the fields. One voice cuts through, giving you the real. He wrote the stories, he started the fire, launched the whole game back in '86, never retired. Heroes crown him, yeah, they call him the king. Fur coat flashing, bling bling in every ring. He's the hardest working, great talking dog. Call in with your take, but don't get it wrong. He'll call you a nitwit if you're acting a fool, but deep down you love it. That's the Eskin rule. Riding with the king, yeah, we're riding with the king. Howard Eskin show, let the truth ring. Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, Flyers, he knows the deal. Philly sports royalty, bow down and kneel. Riding with the king, put your hands in the air. From South Philly streets to the Delaware. No filter, no fear, just the facts on the mic. It's the Howard Eskin Show. Let's go get sight. Hey, riding with the king. Riding with the king. Hey, riding with the king. Riding with the king.
And welcome to the Howard Eskin Show as you're riding with the king on this New Year's Eve. Out with the old, in with the new. As we turn over the new year, I won't be the first to wish you a happy new year, but happy new year to everybody. And this will be another special show on New Year's Eve, the best of. But before we get to that, I want to thank the people that have supported us through the year, and our presenting sponsor, Jeff Stillwell Financial Advisors, done a great job. Things are changing in the world, interest rates and money, and Jeff Stillwell knows his stuff, really can help you out, and he's a great guy. Jeff Stillwell, 732-343-0813. Nothing else, call him and wish him a happy new year. Also, Audi Westchester, great deals. Get in there quickly. The all-new A5, 1.99% financing for up to 72 months. It's new, redesigned A5 and the Q5 SUV, same thing, 1.99% financing for up to 72 months. Great people. I've had a great year with them. 1421 Wilmington Pike. Go in and have a good time. I mean, and wish them a happy new year. And check them out at AudiWestchester.com. Also, you want to improve the way your property looks, both front and back. Piazza Property Pros, 25 years of experience and a great year supporting the Howard Eskin Show. Give them a call, whether it's you want a pool, excavation, hardscaping, fencing, landscaping, pool maintenance. Piazza Property Pros, 610-566-2608. That's 610-566-2608 or piazzaoutdoor.com. And here we go with the best of the Howard Eskin Show. The quarterback is an important position on a football team. How important, and you played the position, and people will rip you because you didn't have a long career in the NFL. You still played in the NFL.
Right.
How important is the quarterback position to a football team?
Right. Well, listen, first off, I'm going to comment on a few things. You're right. I get that a lot, right? Oh, well, why do you hate Jalen Hurts? Do you hate Jalen Hurts because his career was better than yours? Everybody's career was better than mine. That means I'd hate everybody. All right. So that's not the case at all. I just watch football, talk football, do that. The Eagle fan base, yes, they're on my Instagram mentions and everywhere you could find it. I will say, when I first was critical of Jalen Hurts, I would say 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 would be like, I hate you. You're the worst. Would you shut up? I would say towards the end of last year, I started to get like 8 people would say, I hate you. You're the worst. And 2 would be like, hey, I see what you're seeing. This year, it got into maybe 7 out of every 10 fans. And I look at my mentions now and I want to go, it's still a lot of Philly hate. But there is definitely a following on my Chris Sims Unbuttoned podcast that are Philadelphia fans that maybe aren't so emotional at times and don't want to judge me just right away from what I'm saying. And I get feedback to go, Chris, we're Eagles fans. You might be a little harsh with Jalen Hurts at times, but we see what you're seeing and we understand it. So I do think people are seeing that. Now, the importance to the quarterback position, it's hard to even put that into words as far as what it means to a football team. Of course, the most important position at all of sports. And even when your team, like the Philadelphia Eagles, right, which is what I always say, almost an all-star team between the offensive line, the tight end, the running back, the two receivers, everything you got there, right? You still need a guy that can deliver the ball on time, deliver the ball to those other all-star type players so they can do things the right way, work in the pocket the right way, even though protection might be for 4 or 5 seconds, right? Still staying, moving in the right spot to let somebody get open instead of, oh, now I'm just running to the sideline and now I can maybe throw to a guy on the sideline or maybe turn the corner and run for 5 yards, but that's it. So there's so much to that. Now, what if he's not doing the right things mentally at the line of scrimmage and making the right checks and do all that? Okay, now that takes another leg of creativity away from us. Now we become a little more simple, right? So it's all of that that's important to a quarterback, or as far as his importance to a football team. And then when a quarterback is making all those things happen and doing it the right way and really playing the position the right way, that's when the team buys in. That's when the team starts to go, man, we're unstoppable. It doesn't matter. He's going to get us the ball or get the guy the right ball no matter what at any time. And that's when you see, Tom Brady in New England become a machine. Mahomes in Kansas City at certain times of his career, right? Joe Burrow and the Bengals and all of that. So the importance to the quarterback, even to a great team, is it's unquantifiable, and we're seeing that right now. And I feel like some of the Eagles fans are starting to realize that, yeah, the team is really damn good, but the quarterback has definitely held them back in some areas.
You kind of touched on a few things. The teammates, they understand. AJ Brown shouldn't have done or said as much as he said
Right.
earlier in the year. And he caught himself after not the last loss, but the one before, I guess it was to Chicago. Somebody after the game said, "Were the receivers open?" One word, he said, "Yes." And he just left it at that.
Yes, right.
So when you make the point that, and the teammates know what the situation is, they know whether he's doing all the things you need to do to help the team win. How much do you think the other players, a part of this is the other players knowing maybe he's just not good enough this year?
Well, I think there's part of that, or at least just going, he's not playing to his ultimate best here. And because of that, we're floundering as a football team. Now, listen, A.J. Brown said some stuff early in the year where I was just like, why say that? Don't say it. Don't do it. Right. Now, I'm a huge A.J. Brown fan. When it became, 3-4 weeks ago, when they just flat out asked him, and what's the problem with the team? He just said the offense. I think he took a little leadership there a little bit, because everybody in Philadelphia, nobody wanted to hear the truth and really what was going on. And I know from that locker room, everybody's getting blamed. Coaches are getting blamed. Houses are getting egged. Everybody. And the organization's looking around going, wait, we're all getting blamed for this? And I think that's where A.J. Brown was like, I've kind of had enough. Like, we're all getting blamed, and there's one guy to blame, and he's getting off scotch-free. And I think that's where that kind of came from, finally, to being what I would say almost a leader in the locker room, to say this has to be talked about and needs to become front and center, so hopefully we can get better at it, right? But yes, so within all of that, I always use phrases on like my podcast, what's there to be had, right? Sometimes you can go on PFF and they go, oh, the quarterback got a positive grade here, right? And I'm not making fun of PFF. They're all this way. But then I look at the play and go, wait, they gave him a positive grade? There's a guy wide open down the middle of the field for a 40-yard gain, and he threw the check down for 2 yards, and it's a positive grade. And for Chris Sims, or any coach I ever played for, they'd go, no, that was a negative. Joey Galloway was open. Brandon Marshall was open. Why didn't you throw it? We could have had a touchdown there. Instead, we got 4 yards, or you scrambled and got 3 yards, right? And that, to me, is a lot of what is happening there in that locker room. And it's, of course, affecting the offense. And that's why A.J. Brown, when he goes, where there are people open, he knows he's opened up enough can of worms and he just wanted to say yes, right? And maybe that
Yep.
was the Dallas game after he said that. And if you look at my
Might have been the
podcast,
Chicago game. Might have been
okay,
the
might have been the
Chicago game.
Chicago game. You might be right. The Dallas game, I know I did a full breakdown on that game alone just to go, look at how many people I know this play. This is the first read. The guy is open. And you want to know why the offense floundered after going up 21 to nothing. These are your reasons. So, that is affecting the team right now with the ball not going the right way. And then on top of that, I don't think Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball to his ultimate best right now, like you saw the other night, or you heard from Troy Aikman. The ball was sailing. There was a lot of wobbly balls. It was kind of all over the place. And so when you couple not playing the game the right way in the pocket, not going to the right place with the ball, and sometimes, as you know, there's only one guy open per play. You're making life harder on yourself, and then of course you're going to make life harder on your offense altogether.
You know what? I had Dick Vermeil on one show, and I said, Dick, do you understand the quarterback rating? He says, no. I don't even get it. If Jalen Hurts, I saw this somewhere, and I assume it's right, but you should never assume. If he spiked the ball every play, he would have had a higher quarterback rating than he did the last game. Now, I don't understand how that could be the case.
Yeah,
But
right.
regardless of all that, I don't buy all that quarterback rating nonsense. I mean, you can see better than I can.
It's a tool. It's not an end all be all, right? It's a tool. It tells us a little something, right?
Right.
But I think if you look at it and really what we've seen this year, right, as far as top end quarterback play from Jalen Hurts, I would say he played pretty good against the Giants the second time around, right? Even the first time around, he threw the interception that was big, but it was still a
Right.
pretty good game. Other than that, you look, and then Minnesota, they had the big plays, right? So other than that, I would go, man, there's only been like 2 or 3 impressive games, and I'm not sure they were even full, complete, impressive games
Right.
that way. And for up to this week, I mean, he was one of the quarterback rating leaders just because he gets 1 touchdown here, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns here, no interceptions. And he does that. And again, people look at that and they go, look, his quarterback rating's pretty good. And I want to go, it should be way better and everything should be way better. And if you want to sit down and watch a game with me on film, yeah, look at this game. He threw for 210 yards and he was 68% completion percentage and he threw 1 touchdown or 2 touchdowns with no interceptions. But I'm going to sit there and go, look, there was 4 touchdown passes to be had. There's another 200 yards of passing to be had. So there's a lot left on the field. And that's where the Eagles fans are in the crowd go, why are we in a tight game here? What's going on? And I've been here trying to yell at the top of my lungs really for 3 years. What's going on is the quarterback won't run the offense. He won't let the coaches even coach the offense or add more plays into the offense. And he's holding the team hostage almost to a degree with the way he's playing. And then, of course, his contract is he knows he's got them by the you know what too there.
Right.
So he's got a lot of power in that organization right now.
Okay. So if you had what are his other than he can't? Well, I'm going to let you say it.
Yeah. Okay.
Apparently, he can't go through the
Right.
progressions. What are his issues with being? I'll say, I don't know if you qualify him as a good quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback.
Yeah. I got you.
So, what are his issues? What are Jalen Hurts' issues?
Right. And let me say this too. There's a lot I respect about Jalen Hurts. All right. There really is. I mean, he's tough. He's stubborn. I do believe he's a good leader. He is unshakable, right? His journey, the story, all of that I really respect. You see me sometimes get frustrated is I get frustrated, but like we started the show here
Right.
with I hear it from Eagles fans all the time. I hear it from even football fans, and I want to and I go on radio and they go, "What's the problem with the Eagles?" And I want to go, "What? Everybody knows what the problem is with the Eagles in the NFL, and the public just does not want to buy it, and especially the Eagles fan base and Jalen Hurts." So if we got into it, the first thing is there's just very few throws in rhythm within the offense, right? Hey, take a 5-step drop, take a hitch, throw to your first read. There's so many times where, and this is another thing I get. Why aren't they more creative? Why aren't they more creative? Well, if you can't do 2 plus 2, the coach isn't going to add in, now do me an algebra problem. He's going to go, wait, we got to get 2 plus 2. You're not giving me any confidence that you can go to the next level. So that's the first issue when people go, man, they're not very creative. I go, they're not creative because the quarterback doesn't give them confidence to be creative. Creative offenses, are schematically advanced, have a lot of rules, have checks, right? Ask Caleb Williams what he's doing with Ben Johnson right now. I guarantee he's never done anything like that in his life. Trevor Lawrence is learning a new world with Liam Cohn, right? So like that's what a good offense is. New England was creative because Brady could go, what, Josh McDaniels? Oh, wait, there's a 10-minute play you're going to tell me here? Hold on, I'll tell the team the 10-minute play, and then I'll get up to the line of scrimmage and get everybody in the right place. And that's when it becomes creative. So, yes, he's not taking or making some of the simple slam dunk play throws happen on a consistent basis. And then within that, right, you see a lot of times with improper pocket awareness. He's tough, he can run, and he's probably for about the majority of his life been able to go, wait, is the first read open? If not, I'll run, I'll move, I'll do something that way. But in the NFL, it's hard to make a living constantly winning that type of way. At some point, you got to make throws and give Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Goddard the ball because they're better playmakers than you are. So there's too many times, too, where I go, okay, we turned down the first read. All right, he was open. I mean, the whole play was for this guy. He's open. We turned it down. Now we're in the pocket bouncing there, and I'm going, wait, the second read, I know this play. I had this in John Gruden's offense. He's wide open. What are we not doing? And we're kind of bouncing and looking at the rush, and then we're going to kind of make a move and get out of the pocket for no reason at all. As we know, they're one of the best pass protection teams in all of football. So that's where it all starts right there. And it's just sometimes either the timing of the throw is way late or it doesn't happen. And then it's just not what I always say, the great quarterbacks, right? Like you saw Joe Burrow in Buffalo last weekend.
Yep.
The word I always use is surgical. It's surgical. It's like, boom, here, boom, here. Oh, let me move in the pocket. Boom, there, right? And that just does not happen a whole lot. And really good offenses, yes, 5-yard completion, 8-yard completion, 12-yard completion, 5-yard completion. Ooh, now they're starting to creep up. Now let's take our shot down the field. And it's hard for the offense to really ever get in a rhythm or have confidence that the quarterback can execute it the right way when he's not executing some of those simplest concepts in their playbook.
In a show like that, you never know how long it's going to go. And in a show like that, because it's all about the mob and people get whacked and people are gone. Were you worried that you could have been whacked in the show? And obviously,
Absolutely.
after,
1,000%. I mean, that was a worry for everyone. I didn't buy an apartment in New York until after the show was over. I was always worried to get killed off. The first thing I did when I started making money, I paid my house off in Las Vegas, figuring, all right, they kill me off, all else fails, we just, pack up and go back, and, we got a place to live. That was the first thing I did, pay the house off, and then I was clear. It was a big concern with everyone except for, Jim. I mean, obviously, the show could have went on. He was the only one where the show couldn't have gone on. Every other character could be gone. It didn't matter, including Carmela. I mean, it was Tony Soprano was the only person, right? So everyone had that worry.
So it could happen in any year. So you
Sure.
don't know. You go from year to year, and you don't know if you're going to go beyond that year, right?
You sign a 6-year contract, but it's a one-way contract. When you sign a contract with TV, they make you sign a 6-year contract. So you can't go anywhere, but they could get rid of you at any time.
They could, and the way they do it is they get you killed or whacked or whatever you want to call it.
They could just say, we're not picking up your option.
Yeah.
For any reason. They don't have to give you a reason.
Yeah.
They're not picking up your option next year. Your character doesn't work. It doesn't fit in. We're bringing somebody else in, whatever it is. So when, there's no job security, maybe for Friends, a show like that, where it's a unit where, they weren't killing off Joey, you know what I mean? On Friends or Rachel, right? So, there was no job security ever. And the more they gave you to do, the more your character, wow, they're starting to give me some scenes. The more the audience was invested in you, better shot you got to get killed off.
Okay, so now you last to the last season, and what was it? The next to last show, where you got whacked playing with your trains. Did you know going into that season that you were going to get killed off in the Sopranos?
No, no. I had no idea. I found out. I think they did it. I think it was Valentine's Day, believe it or not, and I found out early January. But it didn't matter at that point because once you had those last 9 episodes, all bets were off. It didn't matter. You were going to get paid first of all for whether you were in them or not. At that point, you're getting paid whether you do one or you do all 9. And number two, this is the way the show's ending. If it made for a better show and you were getting killed off, fine. If I would have got killed off early, like Vinny Pastore or some of the guys, I would have been very upset. That would have been very upsetting to me, because one, as the years went on, we made more and more money. Number two, hey, this was the greatest job that you're ever going to get ever in your whole life. It's not getting any better than that,
You know what? When you think about the moments in that show, and you probably can't go anywhere, and somebody doesn't bring up The Sopranos. You probably can't go anywhere. I mean, and you make appearances and do all those kind of things. But are there moments in the show that you remember that says, "Man, this was a great episode. This was a great scene." Do you think back to any of those?
Well, sure, absolutely. I mean, listen, while you're doing it, listen, even any job, even blue blood, sometimes you look around, you go, I mean, this is just fantastic. How lucky am I to do this? I mean, people are dying. People have been trying to do this for 30 years without success. How lucky am I to work with these wonderful actors and come to work and get paid a lot of money? I know people are going to say, well, the guy's talking about money. Well, it's a job, man. I mean, it's a job,
But it's fun. It's fun. It's, it's
so,
obvious.
But do I think about that? I think about that a lot. Hey, you're shooting on the streets of New York City. You go, this is pretty damn cool. How much better does it get than this?
Yeah, it really is nice. Now, I'm going to go over, let's talk about some of the people. Now, you work with Michael Imperioli, who, and you obviously have created not just a working relationship, a friendship. What kind of person? People don't know. Perception is reality in a lot of cases. People don't know about Michael. What kind of person is Michael?
Oh, Michael's a good friend, a very close friend, family man, very into his work. He's a musician. He's a writer. He's written novels. He wrote 5 Soprano episodes. He's a Buddhist, a devout Buddhist, helps people. He's a gentle guy. He's nothing like Christopher. Nothing.
No, it's just, well, yeah, the character is usually not what the person is. Now, I've heard stories, and I don't know if it was you that told me or somebody else. There was a point when James Gandolfino was, HBO was trying to assign him to a new contract. And he wanted the other people in the show to get paid. And apparently he either wouldn't sign unless the other people got paid, or he gave everybody, people in the cast, part of the money that he got. What's the story behind James Gandolfino? Tony Soprano?
He had a contract dispute in 2004. Once he settled that, he called each one of us, 16 people, into his trailer and gave us each a check for $33,333. Why that number? I don't know. He gave $500,000 out. He did it to a lot of TV actors made more money than him. He was a generous guy. He sincerely gave a crap about you. He cared. He didn't have the power to give you raises. That wasn't in his wheelhouse. He wasn't the, but he gave each one of us a check. He was a generous guy. After he passed away, we found out that he had paid off people's mortgages, that
Wow.
he gave people money, lent people money. You know, the guy was just a generous guy. He made a lot of money. He didn't think he deserved all the money he made. I mean, he was an extremely, extremely generous man. And there's a lot of people, and I've worked with some of them. It's every man for himself. They can care less
Oh
about you.
yeah, I know that. Well, that's kind of the business the way it is, more so today than ever in a lot of areas, whether it's radio, television, movies, TV shows. Yeah, I understand, and I only met him. The picture that I have there with him, you guys shot some scenes at the Borgata.
Yeah.
And I was doing the radio show there, and I got to meet everybody. And then there was the makeup room, and I would go back to talk to people. And then they had a party for you guys, and that's when I met James. Now, when you meet somebody like that, you say, oh, "All right, they're really nice and they're really cool," but it's perception is not always reality. But perception for James Galdolfino was real. He really was a nice
He was
guy.
a
Correct?
nice guy.
Yeah, and it's just and the same thing with Paulie Walnuts. I love the name. How did I come up with some of these names on these shows? Paulie Walnuts. I met him at the party. Tony Sirico, may he rest in peace. He seemed when I spoke to him, he seemed like a really cool guy.
He was
Was
a
he? It
good
was
guy, very charitable guy, a real tough guy. Let's not kid ourselves. And he was the most like his character of everybody. Tony was very similar to Paulie, and they wrote for him in that way. You know, they wrote a lot of things mirrored his life. You know, Tony was a very generous guy, charitable guy, good guy. A lot of laughs we had with him, but you know, he was an old school Brooklyn guy. Never had a cell phone. Didn't take his Social Security until he was forced to. Never had a corporation. Lived alone in a 2-bedroom apartment in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
wow. It
You
just
know,
yeah, but a cool, but a nice to work with. I guess
wonderful,
everybody, the
wonderful
cast.
guy. Had a lot of laughs with Tony. A lot of
Yeah.
fun with him, man. A lot of fun.
And I met at another function. This was kind of interesting. It was a charity function in New York with Dr. Melfi, Lorraine Branco, and you were at that function. And again, she seemed really nice and cool, like a regular.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Originally from Brooklyn. Lorraine is wonderful. 99% of the cast was wonderful. Some people you get along better than with others, but nobody caused any problems while the show was going on, you know, because it trickled down from Jim, Jim set an example. And so there was no diva stuff going on. There was none of that on the set, which there are on a lot of sets, but not on The Sopranos. And also David Chase won't put up with that. He had been in TV a long time, and
Mhm.
his show, and he wasn't going to let anybody rock the boat, and no one did, you know.
I don't want to bring up the guy that was an outcast because I don't think you want to talk about it. So we'll just leave that. Good. What's that?
Let's just move on from any of that.
Yeah, I know. All right. So there's a couple other, and I want to get to Blue Bloods too. But before we get to that, it is amazing to me. And here in Philadelphia, there was, as we love to say, and there's a guy named Joey Merlino, who was the alleged head of the mob in Philadelphia. And the mob people are celebrities in real. It's not just the show was actually a real depiction of what the mob or the mafia, whatever you want to call it, whatever the term is they like to use. They're celebrities. Did you kind of find that fascinating, where people in our society treat mob people as you guys were TV stars, and that's different. But the mob was cheap. Joey Merlino is like a star. He's got a steak shop now in Philadelphia. He was in jail for over 15 years, and he comes out. He comes out as a celebrity. I don't quite get society. Can you explain
Listen,
that?
I don't know. I don't know him.
No, not him, but not him
I
specifically,
hear
but
he's got.
society.
I understand he's got a wonderful cheesesteak place.
Yeah.
I'd love to try. He's a very intelligent man. He's no dummy. He seems like a pretty good guy from the clips that I've seen of him. I think you could only, relate to these guys on how they treat you. The Joe Pesci character when I lived in Las Vegas, Tony Spilaccio, there was horrible things written about him. Hey, he was a friend of mine. I don't know what he did. I don't know him in that way. I just know him as a club that I worked at. He would come in. He loved his family. He coached baseball. I don't know what he did. That's all hearsay as far as I'm concerned. Listen, people like Charles Manson, for Christ's sakes. I don't know. I don't know what people do. I just go by if they're nice to me. I want to try one of those cheesesteaks. I'll tell you that. I hear good things.
When you look at the team, what do you think are, let's say, 2 or 3 reasons that the offense is not doing the things that you just talked about?
Well, number one, the schedule is tougher than it was last year. We all went into the season saying this is the second toughest schedule in football. Now, the Commanders aren't what they were, so sometimes these things change as the season goes on. But I think it's never one thing. I think it's always a combination of a number of things. With the offense and the running game, I think it's the lack of continuity and health problems within the offensive line. That offensive line, that great big right guard that they had that left, someone paid him a lot of money, right? He was a monster of a man. And when you get that guy and then our left guard, who's been a Pro Bowl quality player, and our center, who's a Pro Bowl quality player, they control those big guys inside. You're going to run the ball pretty well because everyone's playing those defensive ends now and that wide four. They're way out there. And if you can control those guys inside, you're going to run the ball better. They're not doing that as well right now. And since I've been here in the last few years, they've always raved about our offensive line coach, and we all know he's one of the best.
Yep.
So, he hasn't decided all of a sudden not to coach well, okay? Plus, he has all the confidence gained from doing what he's done in the past that's been successful. So I think the number one thing is the offensive line continuity in the injury process. And then maybe just a little change in the process of utilizing the offense game day. Yeah.
When the fans, they always focus on somebody. Yeah. Most of the time it's not right, but they're focusing on the offensive coordinator. I think Kevin Petula is a pretty sharp guy. I got to know him, and I think he knows what he's doing, but the players got to execute plays. Right. So your thoughts on the offensive coordinator?
I would say this. First off, Howard, which most of our broadcasters, especially analysts, don't do a good job of really explaining why a play broke down. It wasn't the fact that the play wasn't designed well. It broke down fundamentally. Carter, a defensive left tackle for the Eagles, all of a sudden beat the hell of the guard in front of him, and he ruined the execution of the play. And that's what defensive players are supposed to do. So you've got to get the fact that many times, or a higher percentage of plays break down, not because of offensive execution, because the quality of the defensive execution. Someone whips somebody, and sometimes it's just a minor pass set. Hey, the left tackle doesn't set properly, doesn't jam properly. He lets a guy get too wide outside him and goes around and comes in behind on the quarterback. There's all those variables that take place. And there's also sometimes a change of pace. All of a sudden, they do something defensively that catches you by surprise, and you aren't programmed to handle that defense or that scheme of blitzes that all of a sudden that they hadn't shown in the last few weeks, and you're not quite as well prepared, and you have to adjust during the ball game. But there's never any one reason, and I think coordinators are very much responsible for the success, and sometimes they're responsible for the failure. And because I've experienced all of that, there have been games that I did a poor job of running my own offense, and I knew it. And we won the game in spite of me, okay? And sometimes we won the game along with me, and every once in a while you won a game because you did a great job. It's just, there's so many variables, and to blame one guy is tough. Now, when all of a sudden he's the only change in the staff, it's easier to point the finger, okay?
The Eagles had success on RPOs. They didn't run that many. Everybody thinks they ran a lot of RPOs. Mm-hmm. I think one of the coaches told me it was like an average of 4.5 a game,
Mhm.
but it doesn't seem like they're running him as much. Do you think it's because defenses are now protecting those areas to not allow Jalen Hurts to run RPOs?
No, I think it's just a change in philosophy within the offense. Yeah. They still only have 11 guys over the other sideline of scrimmage. You
Right.
can only do so many things with them. And the Eagles would love to have them always play the two deep and only have these guys up in front. Don't have that safety down there in the middle, like, a seventh and eighth man inside there. And they're still not running the ball real well against that look. So that hurts them. And then that hurts them pass wise. Downfield because they got the two deep, the corners, sometimes it's man, sometimes it's zone, sometimes it's quarter across. But it's hard to pinpoint one. In regard to an inexperienced offensive coordinator, you can be bright as hell. You can be very efficient. Some guys just do a better job game day, but it's more, I think, it's more important to what you work on all week in preparation and say, this is how we're going to attack. This is the definition of our attack against this football team. And sometimes you make great decisions. Sometimes you don't make as good of decisions. And I think the more experience you have with that responsibility, the better you get at it. The better you get it. Because nowadays, if you don't, you're the first guy gets fired. You're gone.
Well, even if you have a contract now, they still fire you. They just pay you. All right. There's been a lot of talk, and Nick Sirianni dealt with it a lot at his news conference today, being Wednesday when we're doing this live, about the decision to go for it on 4th and 6 from the 35. I think, based on factors, and I want to see what you say, I think it was the right decision. I don't know if it was the right play. Your thoughts on, and teams are going for it. They're going for it on 4th down a lot more.
Yeah, I don't know if they go for it on the last play of the game. Okay. Just that startled me, and I how I used to handle my mistake? I'd go in the press conference and say, no, I blew it. I really screwed up. I should have never called that. I should have called a timeout, or I shouldn't have, and I sure as hell shouldn't have run that play. And that really diffuses everybody, and the conversation stops and you move on and get ready for the game. You've got to be very careful of trying to over explain your mistake or why you did something. I have a hard time with my thinking. Imagine if you're the defensive coordinator. If you're the defensive coordinator, you see that, it's holy mackerel. You just dumped the load on the defense, None of us would be saying anything if they completed it. And they completed 4th and 1s, but not the last play of the game.
Yeah, it was 4th and 6. All right, so here's why I think, and I haven't talked to anybody yet, but I know before the game, they asked the kicker, all right, on this end, and they practice before the game. What do you think your limit is going this direction?
Mhm.
What is your limit going this direction? They were against the wind, going the direction. This is why I think it was okay. Against the wind and at cold weather. So these 60-yard field goals don't happen in cold weather.
No.
Okay. So against the wind, cold weather. And I'm sure Jake Elliott and the special teams coaches said, what do you think? And it would have been a 53-yard field goal. And then if you miss it, now they have 8 yards closer to be able to get to where they needed to Green Bay to where they get. So I think the reason was that Jake Elliott and the special teams coaches weren't comfortable kicking it from that distance in those conditions.
All right. Yeah.
No.
The other fan would say, then if you're going to go for it, why not try to throw a 4 or 5 yard completion?
Yeah, right.
You get 2 yards running and I would kick a shorter field goal, regardless of the wind.
Yeah.
So no matter whatever you do as a head coach, when you do that and that play fails, it is going to be second guessed. Can you imagine what would happen to this city if they'd have gone ahead and kicked the field goal to tie it up? The opponent?
Oh yeah, can I imagine? Yeah, I know. You had to deal with it in this city. I mean, it was good for a while, and then it all.
Chances are I won't do it again.
Yeah. All right. It was good for a while. The tush push, I'm not a big fan of it. It works for him. That's great. I don't think it's football, and it can't be officiated. We already see that
Seeing
the
that,
officials they can't tell whether the player is in motion or offsides
or
or
moving before the ball. Yeah.
yeah, right,
Yes.
moving before the ball. Do you what are your thoughts on the tush push? Because I think there's a good chance it won't be around next year. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't like to play, but I wouldn't vote against it. You know, I'm always for people that are innovative and try new things. And so I don't like to play. I don't think it's a football play, and I understand the reasons why the officials don't like it. And I believe it will be outlawed a year from now. But it's a limiting play. There are a lot of ball games that are won on 4th and 1, and they fake a play action pass, or we have even done with a tush push, come with something off that tush push. All of a sudden, it's a big play. But it is limiting yourself to that 90% of the time, that one move, and no really concern defensively of a big play downfield. And I think that's a limitation too.
All right, I'm going to go back to some of your days with the Eagles. You came here in what was it? Was it 76 after you won the?
50 years ago next year.
I know
Getting old.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
After you won the Rose Bowl, and Jim Murray, and as I said earlier, you will be at his. It's open to the public. His memorial service tomorrow at Villanova at 5:30. Jim Murray hired you, but from what I remember, you weren't his first choice. Now you can't get offended, but you obviously had a no.
Yeah, I wasn't the Rams' first choice when I went back either. Okay, Bobby Ross turned it down. Okay, he went to Detroit.
Wow, this is a story I remember. The coach at Harvard. I don't know how they got locked into him. Guy named I think it was
Turner was offered the job too. Joe used to tease me all the time.
Wow,
he always threw that at me. I could have had your job.
So you took the job. Did you think about it, or how long did it take you to think about taking the job to coach the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, they called me on a Monday after the Rose Bowl. I was sitting at my desk talking to the #1 quarterback prospect in the United States, and he had watched us play the Rose Bowl, okay, and beat Ohio State. So he was impressed. We were recruiting like hell, and the phone rang. It was Leonard Tost and Jim Murray combination there, and they wanted to talk to me about becoming the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm just really not interested. I'm really not interested. I said, I think I have a chance to win a national championship here. Hell, we just beat the #1 team in the country, and we can build on that. And so that's where I went. So I hung up, went on about the day. The staff meeting that evening because now we're organizing recruiting processes the first week after the bowl game. And they all said, I'll tell them, says, Coach, you're crazy. I was making $30,000 a year. Okay. And you're crazy. That might
30,000 at UCLA.
Yeah, I made 27.5 my first,
Wow.
30,000 my second. And I was going to 32.5 my third. Okay. But anyway, that's what it was. So they said, you really ought to look into it. So I thought about it on Tuesday. I called George Allen. I called Chuck Knox, and both of those guys said, Dick, for criminy sakes, owners don't call coaches up very often and offer them opportunities to be evaluated to be their next head coach. You should at least go visit with them. So that Thursday, I called Jimmy, I think, on that Wednesday, and we had about a 9:00 meeting at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Leonard had a suite there, and I went there and met them on that Thursday morning, and I spent probably 2 to 3 hours with him. And I left there thoroughly impressed with Jim Murray.
Thanks for watching the best of the Howard Eskin Show as you are riding with the King. As we're into the holiday season, happy holidays to everyone. And thanks to the people that have been a big part of this program, whether it be our sponsors, whether it be the people I work with, Joe Gangemi, who does the technical part of things. He's on the other side, whether it be Tony Anastasia, who does all the graphics and posts all the things for the Howard Eskin Show and on social media. And thank you on this holiday season for being a part, as you were riding with the King, being a part of the Howard Eskin Show. Have a happy holiday season. Enjoy it.
Whoa, ho, 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 ho. Sixers to the fields. One voice cuts through, giving you the real. He wrote the stories, he started the fire, launched the whole game back in '86, never retired. Heroes crown him, yeah, they call him the king. Fur coat flashing, bling bling in every ring. He's the hardest working, great talking dog. Call in with your take, but don't get it wrong. He'll call you a nitwit if you're acting a fool, but deep down you love it. That's the Eskin rule. Riding with the king, yeah, we're riding with the king. Howard Eskin Show, let the truth ring. Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, Flyers, he knows the deal. Philly sports royalty, bow down and kneel. Riding with the king, put your hands in the air. From South Philly streets to the Delaware. No filter, no fear, just the facts on the mic. It's the Howard Eskin Show. Let's go get sight. Hey, riding with the king. Riding with the king. Hey, riding with the king. Riding with the king.